I'm here live with. We got a little echo going on. I'm not sure if that's on your end or mine, Ithai. I don't know if you can.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good here. So
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe I could just be getting the echo. All right. So let me know if in the chat if anyone's getting echoey stuff. So you created Hexroll. Do you want to before we start or I start clicking away in here? What was your inspiration for doing this?
Wow. That goes way back, right? Like the late '80s, right? The early modules of TSR, Isle of Dread, So basically, like throughout my gaming history, let's put it this way, like creating worlds was always something that I wanted to automate. So, and as I grew up and time became scarce, it was like more, becoming more and more important. So I guess that's one main reason. The other main reason is probably to gamify things for me as a game master. So that's like another important aspect, I guess, for creating Hexroll. And I can talk more about it, but basically the gist of things is that I really want to play when I'm refereeing a game and enjoy playing around the table and be surprised and be able to improvise with my players. Not necessarily know everything on the get-go, but be able to discover things with the players as if I'm one of the players. And that is a big part of what Hexroll is actually for.
All right, absolutely. Okay, so let's get in here and let's roll it up. Okay, so I know I'm getting an echo. I'm not sure. Are you pouring through speakers or are you running through headphones over there?
No speakers here. Just had my earbuds here.
Earbuds. Okay, I'm not sure.
Yeah, why. And everything here is disconnected.
All right. I just
is it coming through, folks? Like in the stream?
Yeah, Ian, one of the guys in the chat, Ian, picked up on it. It sounds really, really faint to me, so hopefully it's not horrible to someone listening. So apologies for that. I'll try to keep my talking to the minimum, which is always a good idea. All right. So what do you call? So here we have regions, right? So let's go through your list. So we get the type of realm and then the population. So we have kingdom, empire, lands, duchy, and island.
Right. So basically, it's just a quick way to get started. If you don't want to think too much about generating a sandbox, you just pick one, and it's a template, right? So it does two things. The first thing, it basically determines whether the realm you'll be generating is ruled, has a ruler. What type of ruler that ruler will that be a king, or will that be an emperor or empress, or some kind of ward, like a warlord, or that sort of thing. And the other thing is that once you choose one of these templates, it will also preset the values in the form. So and it's just a way to get things started. Like if you choose lands, it will add more jungles, and if you choose a kingdom, it will be more like foresty and that sort of thing. And the other drop down there for population gives you a way to start things without settlements. So if you want more control over where your settlements are, and like if you have a certain vision of where you want cities and villages and towns to be, then you can start things without settlements generated.
Oh, okay, interesting. So if we want something with kind of various, maybe not connected, not one kingdom or one empire, then that would lands be the correct one to pick?
Well, it will still create one realm. So if you want to create multiple disconnected realms, then you will have to invoke that form multiple times. If you want to start small, you can choose, like lands will basically not be ruled by a monarch. It will be like more like a war lady, for example, or a cleric, this sort of thing, or
okay, actually I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll generate the population now. Now, in terms of these regions, so I know I had a little bit of a hard time. So
yeah.
So it's one. If everything was ones, that would be equal chance of any
exactly
particular one. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's 3 times the chance of getting mountains as there is to getting. This is dunes. Did I read that correctly? Is this?
Yeah. If I added hover, tooltips over things. So.
Oh yeah. So I should mention that we're in the dev branch. So this might be a little bit different than in what's out there right now. Okay, I guess. So let's see what I want. Okay, what one? Okay, that is. Okay. And now, what are these and less than down here?
So these are the minimum number and maximum number of tiles, basically hexes, that will be generated per region. So say the generator decided that it will generate 2 mountain regions, then it will basically choose a number between the minimum value and the maximum value per region, and that it will then create that number of hexes.
Aha. Okay, so I'm gonna tool around these a little bit. I don't want those wetlands to be that big. Mountains, maybe not that big, but say 24. Woods, let's call it 6 to 12. We'll do, let's see, grasslands. Yeah, we'll do about the same thing. Are you intending to add more hex types? Because I was looking for kind of hills and things. We don't have any. Hills seem to be kind of in the same kind of plains, grasslands kind of thing? Or?
Yeah, I guess it's an abstraction of like grasslands, hills, anything that is not as, like it's kind of like a range essentially. But yeah, I don't think at this point I will add more biomes to the generator. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Dungeons is fine. That's fine. Number of settlements 0 to 1. How about? Let's see. We got 12 regions. Let's say. Number of inns. That's fine. Number of factions.
I guess at this point it's worth mentioning that there is some importance to the numbers here when basically Hexroll will try to link things together. So for example, if you generate settlements, it will try to generate quest hooks for NPCs. And these quest hooks usually connect to dungeon areas. So if you generate a large number of settlements, but you don't generate any dungeons, that actually might not work very well, because it will then, Hexroll will try to generate a bunch of quests, but will not have locations to actually use for that quest. So
okay,
there's kind of like a balance that has to be maintained. I don't actually enforce that. I mean, it can, I actually, it would be interesting to see how it will break, if it will break, but that's like, that's part of the thing. It's a beta, so.
Yep, for sure. Okay. I'll put basically the same probabilities for both. So 1 dungeon per settlement is kind of not a bad thing anyway. All right, then we got some factions. I think that's good. I don't know, maybe 3 to 6. Do that. Probabilities, malicious syndicates, treasure factor. All right, I think we're good. Let's see what we get. Oh, the spinning hex wheel. The Lens of Eshabar. Let's see what we've got. Oh, so we ended up with no mountains at all. Okay.
Yeah. Can happen. It's random.
Very much so. All right. Let's see what we did get here. And are you a web developer by trade? Because I mean, the interface is really nice and snappy and smooth and.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm a programmer, I guess. I do a bunch of things, but yeah, I'm like, I've done some web development in the past and some other things. But this is like, I really wanted, because I know I don't think you played with Hexroll one first edition, but Hexroll first edition was pretty much like a single page, like long HTML page, and I used to play that with a tablet. And I wasn't really happy with navigation. So I had this vision of how I want to navigate the sandbox while I'm at the table. And this is why it really meant a lot to kind of like try to get it right.
Yeah, it works great. All right, let's see here. So here we have a dungeon, Crypt of the Unholy Horrors. I like that.
Yeah. So also, like, one thing is there are like a bunch of links in the page. So if you kind of hover over like the crypt of the name of the dungeon there, yeah, and you click that, so you get to see another level of detail, and that goes for cities, villages, and whatnot. And it's kind of important because you get to pick up those, like, as I said, like quest hooks and prompts for you to play with.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think it's just that learning curve of understanding that all these are maybe not all the bold ones, obviously that one, but that which things you're clickable on and which things aren't, so that we can kind of understand where we can go. See, it'd be nice to have something, because like I feel like a little bit just something like I have to sort of guess a little bit that that's clickable. Maybe it's like another update, like put a little line or kind of like a little link.
Yeah, absolutely. I need to emphasize things better there. Yeah, it does not pop up that clearly that you can click things. But this is what I was speaking about. Like, here you have like an item basically missing by can't really see is it Frerth? And I think she's missing an item, and that item is in that dungeon, and that is pretty much how I try to basically link things together in the sandbox, so that the referee or the GM can basically pick up on those things and kind of use them to start building a story, because they're not forming an overarching story. Like, there's no narrative built into Hexroll. It's like up to the GM and referee to build that from these like small interconnected entities.
No, I mean, and just going back to the kind of UI stuff, the way that clicking on everything just kind of zoomed in or out. Oops, did I get in there? There it is. Like, that's just really, I can sit there and do that. And was that a new thing that it highlights it in green? Maybe I just didn't trigger that, but I like.
Oh, it was
which building it's pertaining to, which is great also.
Yeah, and if you go to the breadcrumbs and click the city, the city, the name of the city, then you get the overview for the city. So you can, like, when you start, maybe if your players, first get to the city, you can basically give them like, they meet a guard, and the guard tells them of a certain place where they can maybe sleep or eat, or a certain place where they can buy equipment. So you get that overview. And it's very, it should be convenient to use, basically.
Yeah, a lot of people losing their armor. You got to take care. They got to take better care of their equipment here. Let's see, where are we? This is the grotto. Area 8. Okay, so we're right there. That's where the decorated armor, actually an armor +2. I could do that clicking in and out all day long. I won't, but I could. That's how much I enjoy it. Fishmonger's Veil. Oh, yeah, I really like this. This UI stuff's really good. Yeah, I just think these are all hoverovers or are clickable, which is good. But sometimes you get down in here and you might be expecting there's other things that are kind of bolded highlight, and these don't. So having some kind of cue, say like, hey, yeah, this is a clickable thing, or this is just a. What system did you have this in mind? I mean, obviously everything's kind of just OSR sort of vanilla. What were you, when you were using this for yourself? What system were you playing, or what did you originally kind of create it as a tool to play?
So we play old school essentials at home. So that's the campaign we're having, and we're having this campaign for over a year and a half now, I think, even more, probably almost 2 years. Before that, we were playing our own home variant. So basically, old school essentials was the edition I decided to introduce my kids to my version of the game, like the game I played like 35 years ago. That was the first time they before that we basically had our own like homemade D6 system that I used to introduce them to the world, basically.
Yeah, really cool. Oh, he's got a castle. Let's go see this guy's castle. And you're using all of, I guess this. What's the guy's name that does these generators? His.
Oleg, yeah, Watabu. Yeah, he's amazing. So the settlements are all made by Watabu, and he was like super great. I was talking to him about like incorporating this in Hexroll, and he was like, sure, just use that, and if you want, like use the caves and dungeons. I tried, but eventually I wrote my own dungeons and caves. Because it was easier for me to like just partition the spaces and use that to generate content. Well, basically it's the other way around. I generate content then embed it in the dungeon maps. But yeah, that was that like settlements are all Watabu, and you can see it's like they're lovely. Like he's a wizard. So
very much so.
Yeah.
Just clicking on some other things. Are you pulling the kind of the stuff that you're generating? You basically pulling that out of kind of old school essentials, or do you have a lot of custom stuff, or did you just come up with your own items?
It's not. It's basically BX. So I'm pulling things like the core is BX, which is like the the monster stats, the NPC stats. Some of these things are custom, like the things that I came up with. Some of the things are the things I picked up from other games, other modules. Inspiration is everywhere. So, but it's basically everything is like hand tailored for Hexroll. There's a large set of model files. For 1E, they're on GitHub. For this edition, not yet. I will put them on GitHub when the beta ends, and it's basically tailor made with a bunch of things taken from BX. So this is why there's like we have a dual license for the content. It's OGL and Creative Commons. So everything that I've done is Creative Commons, and everything that is OGL based is OGL is protected under the OGL.
Right. Nice. I'm just clicking on some stuff to, and I really love the way you can kind of zoom all the way out. That's really the first time I did that. I think whatever last week or earlier this week. Gosh, I'm losing track of my days here. It's pretty cool. Oh, we got a question here. Let's see what this is from Dave. Is there a way to paint a map and then have it randomly generate all the cities and dungeons into it with all of these wonderful quest hooks? So could you go in and do let's say, not generate the dungeons and quests right away, or dungeons and settlements right away, then kind of come in, draw up the lands that you want, and then generate that afterwards? Or do you have to do it all from jump?
Well, yeah, it does. So not in the sense of a hex map editor, like the ones that that you can just like draw just a hex map from scratch. Like it's a generator, so it tends to basically randomly generate a bunch of things together. That's like the main that's how the architecture works there. And it's like I don't want to promise things. I will add more editing capabilities, but it's built for basically generating a landmass, and you can optionally generate stuff with that, or you can add things on top of that, but not to draw and paint each individual hex and place it where you actually want it to be. So that's never going to be the case with Hexroll. You will get things randomly generated. Like I'm working, I have my development version right now, I have the capability to basically add regions that like add more regions. So you can like just create with one region and then add more regions as you go. But when you will add a region, you will add a random region. It will have a random shape because it is a random generator. And again, the whole premise here is that I'm doing that. Automation, as I said, is like an important aspect of this, like to make things easy and quick. So that's why it's built like that.
I mean, and it's fine to have a design goal. If somebody wants to do a thing from scratch, there are plenty of other tools to bring in there. I think maybe I could see what, because a lot of times we often look at, well, we like the output from this thing here, but then we want to be able to do something over this thing over here. So it's kind of like, could I, I could definitely see someone saying, could I take this map that I've put in Worldographer and then bring it in here and have that be the basis of all the wonderful generators you have, but using my kind of custom map as opposed to having it be, generated all the way down.
Yeah. Let me show you something then. Zoom out for a second and then unlock the map. So the lock is on the left side. Now, here's a cool technique to get, if you don't like the way that the land is structured. So if you click on one of the hexes in the realm, and you click that feather thing with the arrows. No, the other one, like on the top.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, that's one. So that will basically restructure the land, and you can basically shape the world, sort of speaking. So if there is a structure that you don't actually like and you want the map to look different, you can actually play with that a little bit. Another tool that you have here is the bin, where you can basically delete regions. So you can click the bin. Well, yeah, let's delete this region, whatever. And you can delete that. Yeah, that's a region. So click that.
No.
So you can get rid of things. Yeah, and like a tsunami just. That's another aspect, by the way, which I really like about this. Like when you build a world by hand and you spend a bunch of time like creating, say, a village, and you detail the village and you detail the NPCs, how easy would it be for you to actually have a tsunami destroy that village? You probably wouldn't do that with a village you've spent like 2 days detailing, right? With that, like I've had it in my games. Like things are I'm detached. I'm detached from the content. Like I don't have any emotional attachment to things, so I can basically get rid of things, which is not an easy thing if you generate things by hand.
This is true. I mean, this is one of the things, just at OSR in terms of character generation, right? Because they're so quick to generate, and we're not spending a whole lot of time crafting them and molding them, that when they die 5 minutes into the game in the first room of the dungeon, theoretically we don't feel so horrible.
Yeah, and that's the spirit. Like that's what I'm trying to also emulate here.
Whole new area here. What is this? Temple of the Hopeless Ogre. Oh, there we go. Stairs leading down to area 19. I love these. And is this another Wadabu? Is this their map, or is this your own? Oh no, you said you were using your own thing for this, right?
Yeah, dungeons and caves. I had to make them myself just because of the way the generator works. Again, like Oleg was saying, why don't you use mine? And I was sure. I gave it, I gave it a good try, but I couldn't plug it in easily.
I like that you have the doors and their statuses.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Like unlock that page for a second.
Yeah.
So if you don't like a particular door, you can roll that door. So click on the dice near one of them, and then you can have a different one.
Oh, nice.
And that goes for anything, right? Like if you sometimes I'm saying, oh, I had too many stuck doors. I need something else, right? Like I need a magical door, a trap door, or something. So I re-roll things a little bit, and I get something else.
Oh, look at that! You even generated the key. It's
really easy. And then it places the key somewhere for you. And you should find the key somewhere in the description there.
A few small rats. You spot something quite big lying on the floor. Dust-covered skeleton of a goblin. Searching, you'll find. Oh, there it is. Searching, will uncover an old leather pouch holding the key. Very nice. Yeah, you definitely want to add some highlighting here, because I would not have known that was if I didn't run my mouse over the words. I could click back. That's really slick. Let's see, what is this pool? Pool is filled with milky white liquid. If anything is dead is thrown in the pool, a demon will emerge from within. Ooh. That's tempting. There's also feathers on an altar and some shredded pieces of map next to it. I'm just going to re-roll that one. Burnt torch and large basin, some marbles next to it. Where do you get the list of stuff? Do you just have a big list of items and things that might show up? How do you generate these? I mean, obviously, you don't got to go into the super details, but it seems like there's a big variety of things where you just run down and just create a whole bunch of things: burnt torches, marbles.
Yeah,
is there any method to the madness?
Yeah, there is. So I wrote this scripting language called Hexroll, and it's basically a way to write a smart random tables, right? So it lets you list random tables, give the probabilities for each item, and yes, there are like, I think, hundreds of them at this point in what I wrote. And then it also lets you connect things together. So Scroll is smart enough to let you connect things together, so you can basically create that linking between NPCs, quests, dungeons, keys, doors, all that stuff. So it's kind of like taking random tables to the next level. It's like as if you had like a three-dimensional random tables where you can like jump from things. You roll for that, and now you need to roll or place that item somewhere else that is randomly selected, and that's how it works behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's really clever. I mean, that's really neat to generate something on the fly that then generates another piece, and the thing puts the piece for you, doesn't break or forget about it, and does the linking in the UI. Really,
yeah. There's like, without going too technical here, there's basically a graph, like a directional graph behind the scenes of all the entities in the sandbox, and it's always trying to resolve things according to the rules defined in Scroll. That's the language, and so it always tries to balance things. And that's how rerolling works. That's how removing things. Everything basically tries to maintain the consistency of that graph.
very, very cool. Let's see, is there what's in this room? Actually, no, what's in that room? How do you use the foreshadowing? How do you presume it to be used?
Well, the way I do this is basically if my players are somewhere in the corridor outside of the room, so say they're in this long corridor on the top, and I when I'm in the corridor, we play the corridor. Usually there's like a random encounter there, or a wandering monster or something else. And when they see the door, I basically click the room. I see what's in it. I basically see the foreshadowing helps me quickly come up with something. I don't necessarily read things as they are. That's my style. Like I take it as a prompt for my mind, as if like if you would send it to an AI like LLM, right? It would generate a bunch of text. That's how it works for me. I read that, it ignites something for me. And then I come up with my own text. Usually, sometimes if I don't want to work hard, I just read it out loud. But often I will generate my own text around it, and then I read out I'll tell them basically what's hints, for the things that they will find inside.
I didn't even notice we got a black dragon in here. That's nifty.
Yeah.
The words "dead heart" in Dwarvish language are written down on a torn piece of parchment. It is the passphrase for the secret door in Area 20. Oh, very cool. Let's see. So we go in here. Aha. That's awesome. Where does that secret door go? Oh, that secret door goes back to 10. Yeah, that's really, really super nifty. And I really like just very clean, the clean design of the dungeon. And it's, I don't know, whatever you're using, your generator is doing a nice job kind of making those sort of loops. Did you, were you inspired by it? Because I know there have been the kind of loops idea I saw elucidated in an article about sort of procedural maps for video games, this concept of creating loops. And I noticed that you kind of use them. Is that something that just
No, that's absolutely from there. Like I'm basically, I'm learning, I'm developing my skills. Even though I'm nearly 50, there's still a lot to learn, and I'm excited to learn a bunch. I'm learning from you. I told you I'm a fan of your channel. I'm learning a lot from your channel as well. So
yeah, it's just, I mean, I'd kind of seen it around, and I saw that. I'm sure there's that one article that probably everybody picks up on from that, but it was just a really good way of breaking down kind of how the loops kind of concept works. And I just noticed that in your dungeons you tend to have these loops, which I think is good.
Yeah, it's not always working well, like because it's an algorithm. Sometimes there will be like misses, but in most cases there is an attempt to generate like multiple loops and have some logic there.
Totally. Dave, I don't know if this is too technical or not, but it says, are you using wave function collapse in your generation?
No, I'm not actually. I didn't get into it enough to apply it. Probably should, but no, not yet.
Where does this dungeon go? Oh, the stairs here leading out and out of the dungeon. Ooh, look at that. I just the UI transitions are just so smooth, and I haven't noticed them. A lot of times, I find with browser-based stuff that, especially when you're in them for a bit, I guess probably because memory gets clogged up, some of that stuff tends to start to get jittery or just not smooth. But I haven't noticed that with your thing. It just seems to be rock solid every time, which is
I try to keep things fast and just make the user experience nice. Just because it would annoy me personally if it wasn't the case.
That's always the first thing we're trying to do, right? Is we're trying to fix the stuff or do the things that would work best for us, and then hopefully it work for other people as well. What's going on in this dungeon? Do your dungeons have kind of themes, or do you theme up? Is there in here, or is it more or less kind of random with the rooms and sort of how they connect to each other within a dungeon?
So, yes and no, I guess, is the answer. So, crypts will be more like crypts. Temples will be like temples. So, in terms of the type of monsters you will find in, the type of descriptions that you will find in, the type of quest items, there will be an attempt to create something that makes sense, but it can get pretty random. Like, you can get things that make no sense whatsoever, and basically as a GM you'll have to figure it out. Either you reroll things, or you find a way to make that work in your story. But there is a very, very small attempt to make that work.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's probably a good idea. I mean, it's a good idea with anything, right? Give it a little review before you get in your game if you have a chance. That way you can, if there is something that's really just out there that doesn't work for you, that you can re-roll it before you're caught on the spot. But that's true of anything, whether you're rolling random encounters or anything. You sometimes can get some odd things. You got a mimic in here. Let's see what's going on. So this is, where's this, room 23? Successful search roll can detect the sticky substance that the mimic discharged. Ew, what kind of sticky substance are mimics discharging? It sounds a little gross in a good way.
Yeah, it does. It does this. It's a nasty thing.
Yeah, totally. It's got things coming out. Okay, we got a barricaded door. The air in this area is dense and misty, and the ceiling is covered with spots of yellow ooze. Ew. Your boots and feet feel sticky as you step forward. That's, really descriptively creepy in a good way. There's a mimic inside appearing as a stone pillar. Oh, you don't see that every day. I like it. Do you have any particular mimic rules, or did you just have mimic and then you pick something? Is that just because because we always think of mimics, or not always, but often as kind of treasure chests. But that's really sneaky to have it as a pillar.
Yeah.
Totally random. That's a really good kind of random. That'll throw off a lot of parties. There's also a muddy puddle near the wall on the left and some shredded pages of a book next to it. Searching will uncover a goat skull holding the key to unlock the arched marble doorway in Area 16. I really love these connected items, and I like the fact that you can generate them on the fly. That's really, really cool. I think the one thing to be aware of, not so much for if you're playing it, is just be careful if you're re-rolling things as you're playing through it, because if you re-roll it and you get a key to something that's in a room that your party's already been through, probably want to re-roll that again or figure that out. Otherwise, the key to the thing they need to get might be in a room that they searched that didn't have a key beforehand, because it's going to be, because the randomization, I guess it's just the one little, not negative, but just a little catch on, because it is connecting all these things together, is if you're doing this as you're playing, you could end up with some reality rewrites.
Yeah, and again, you can re-roll it back if you want, re-roll to something else. But yeah, definitely, things can be obsoleted without your intention, and then you come back and then it's not what it was before.
Yeah, so just got to be aware of that when you're re-rolling. Oh, I like this. So I kind of like, so did this, is this just another coincidence that in the room with the mimic, we had yellowish ooze, but then here we have a pool of yellowish ooze or liquid that...
It's a complete coincidence and random thing. But here's one, this is something that if you pick up, it's gold for the referee. You can actually take that and, amazing. Now what's the yellow substance? Is it something that, the cult maybe is preparing to spread around somewhere? That's exactly the sort of prompts that can get you going, right, with the story.
Totally. It's just, that's what sometimes I love, is sometimes the random generators throws these two things, and even though it's got yellow and yellow is just randomly, but the fact that you got them both in the same area, now you're like, oh man, maybe the mimic was already attacked once and had to go in there and do some healing and then slodged its way back in there. Maybe it was just getting settled when the party shows up at the door, and so it quickly turn into a pillar, and then therefore leaving that kind of oozy stuff on the floor. Like it's such a great, like just connects up so wonderfully. But yeah, totally random. Let's see. Dave says the re-rolling seems really quick, so even if you can't pre-read it, you're still good. Yeah, I mean, everything is really snappy. And then Dave also says they like mimics being doors, but rarely players become too paranoid. Yes, you got to be careful with your mimics. Here's a little tip: be careful with mimics. While they can be fun to put them in all kinds of mundane things, if you do that a couple times, your players will not trust anything, and that might not be a good idea. Let's see a couple more. Is there any of these rooms here that seem interesting or weird? We go to room 9. Oh, see, this is like a whole dungeon of pools. So again, like I'm assuming it's totally random, but we kind of have this theme here of pools. We had the yellow pool that healed hit points. Now we have a clear pool, but now this one turns you into stone. Ouch. And here we have a one of the plot hooks it created. We see that it's got a sword that's actually a +1 sword from Euryzima of Valesia. What'd you do for your name generators? I like them; they're different.
So I researched old European names to begin with, and then I filtered these with modern names and eliminated all the modern names from that list. So basically got myself a really cool list of names that you wouldn't find anywhere. And then I went ahead and manually tweaked these a bit. So because some of them were really like odd. So, and then I took some, more traditional things and combined them together. So it's kind of a mishmash, a little bit of things, but I like it. It's kind of, it gives me a variety of things.
Totally. All right. This is the town of Samari. Dozens of giant dead tree trunks are laying on the ground here, covered with moss undergrowth. Some of them seem to have a face with a frozen expression of agony. Are these? You just have these as kind of descriptive? Because I noticed this in the last one. I think I got a very similar prompt, and they're really flavorful.
Yeah, it's my attempt. It's my attempt at writing like short, terse, easy to read, and easy to work with descriptions. I have to say I don't have a lot of them. Like you will see some repetition there. Should probably add more. That's
this one you can't reroll. Is there a reason why we can't reroll this one?
Not really. Like I need to do some adjustment in the model to basically extract this into a rerollable something, like an entity that can be rerolled. It's currently like embedded there. But if you reroll the entire thing, don't do that because it will reroll the town and it will, void all the NPCs and whatnot. But for other hex, if you reroll the thing, you will get a new description each time you reroll. But for now,
because this is a really cool thing, but it's kind of funny to me that it's in the same place as this town.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's.
I think like, wow, this is great, but I would want that maybe in one of these like true wilderness hexes, and like it would just seem, unless the town itself was really weird, in which case it would make perfect sense for there to be.
Well, this is what we can go with, right? We can say the town is really creepy, and there's like something sinister going on there, right? So it's an opportunity. Let's put it this way.
There you go. Everything is always an opportunity for something if you look at it the right way. Dave says his players will walk around the entire hex. Yeah. I feel like my players saw. I mean, if I was a player and I was like, "Oh yeah, you're entering this area of the woods and all the trees have been knocked over and they've got faces that are in agony," I'd be like, "Okay, we're leaving this area. Let's go check out one of these other wonderful places down here." What do we have?
Well,
here?
You know what? Let's go to that town. I don't know if you've seen a tavern or an inn there, but it's also a nice place because if you go to one of the taverns there they should have one tavern, I think, at least.
All right,
a lodge, the first one. So you get this is kind of obviously the place where the players, usually get to first to rest, drink, or whatnot, or to eat. So when you go down, you actually get a table of a bulletin board and a table of rumors. That will be part of each tavern.
Oh, wait, I did want to mention, I really like that you have menus here. Did you, how did you come up with the foods and things? Because these are really detailed. It's not just
anything I would love to eat. These are all things. And you know what? When we get to that part in every game, in my tip, this is where the part where I'm getting super hungry every time.
Because I mean, there's just some. I mean, because that's one of the things I feel like that is always kind of missing in descriptions. just that we use in game is like what food's being served, because we don't really have that inspiration often. It's always like, mutton, chicken, goat stew or something. But you got these like really crazy. I mean, it's almost, or they're halfway to being recipes up there. All right, let's go take a look at the bulletin. Here we go. Stolen. Something very dear to me was stolen. Please reach out if you can help. And as we saw, that was Eurissima. Help requested. An heirloom of sentimental value was stolen from me. I will reward anyone who is kind enough to get it back. Yours, Duberta Madalgaria. And then someone says, traveling to Greenfell, I will pay anyone carrying a package for me. Yours, Rionas of Ithai. These are all.
And this one of these items in my game, just one of them, started a 10-game storyline. So just one of them, right, started like a 10 sessions of trying to find a missing person for someone, and then it wasn't there in the story, but we connected that to a cult and went to a temple, and it was a whole big thing with humanoid experiments and whatnot, and it became a whole storyline taking players from level 2 to level 5 or something, and it was great, just from one of these items in the bulletin board.
Totally. All right, I'm curious about this traveling to Greenfell. Let's see what this package is about. So we can click on them. Merchant, the Lasarionas of Ithai. He has thin black hair, enchanting green eyes, and a peg leg. Oh yeah, I was curious about this. When you say he's delighted, is that his?
Yeah, it's his feeling, emotional state.
So
yeah.
The peg leg isn't delighted.
No. It's the NPC delighted.
All right, looking for someone to deliver a sealed crate to Loden Swanhilda in Greenfell, and the reward is 6. Oh, that's interesting. So, I would love to have another little being able to generate there, what's in the crate. Of course, it can always be. We can always imagine something, but.
Actually, I specifically didn't do that because it can be a bunch of weird things, and it can be something that's related to something, and it could be the dynamic,
right? Because if you're using your whole graph idea, maybe in there is the key or something that belongs to one of these other quests or one of these other locations that you have. So being able to roll and say, oh, is in here is this other thing that this other person was looking for, or
I can actually do something like this. I can make things also optional, so it can be nothing or it can be something, and every like a 50% chance this is actually something from another. That's a brilliant idea.
All right, let's see Loden. Let's check out on Loden Swanhild. I could do those. I could watch those transitions all day long. Weaver, Loden Swanhild. He has piercing blue eyes, a short blonde beard, and an earring. And he's horrified.
There you go. That's the opportunity, right? Why?
See, it's interesting here is we don't know whether they're going to encounter him with that crate, and is he horrified because of the crate, or do they encounter him and they don't have the crate? Is he horrified that the crate hasn't shown up yet? So you're going to have to, GMs, you're going to have to figure that out. Only 2 coppers in his pocket. What are these? A lot of cheapskates running around this place. I think I remember that last. I was like, these people, there was the head of the Thieves Guild and all is fancy, and then she's had 10 copper and a couple of silver.
Absolutely, that's a valid point there. I should probably. So I'm rolling on treasure types, and I think I'm rolling here on the pockets on the lowest value treasure type. I should probably give a span of base that on the level or something. But definitely.
If you wanted to have a lower class, middle class, upper class, right? Depending on kind of how they. So you'd think a weaver, I would guess, would be middle class. So you might have here's the higher, maybe the higher end of the table, and then if it's a bum, it'll be the lower end, and then of course if it's the head of a guild. Though I mean, it does make for interesting opportunities, because what does it say about that leader and kind of what they're doing if they're presenting themselves as being all slick and rich and everything, but then if you were to take a gander in their pockets somehow, you'd see that they're basically broke, just fleas. Or no, whether it was always in the cartoons or something, open the wallet and a little, it's a moth flies out, kind of thing. So
yeah, but it gets also funny when you actually click one of the, say it's a queen or a king, and they also have 2 copper pieces in their pocket.
Well, as the Lasu says, if I was the boss of a bunch of pickpockets, I'm not going to walk around with a money belt. That's very true. I also might just be a smart man. See, everything makes sense if you look at it from the right way. And Dave actually really likes that. That gold is rare. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's see. What else can we see in here? Or should we let's do another. Is this is funny? Is this like my own thing? Like I feel like this got this lovely living place, and I don't want to just destroy it. Is there a way for me to save this? Does it do something with the URL? Something where I could hold on to this URL that would have this?
Oh, okay.
How does that work?
So that's actually a very important point. So you would want to download the snapshot for backup and to use it offline if you want to play with that. And the way to do that is click that arrow thing on the left side of the map. So if you zoom out, you see that arrow thing? Yep. Okay. And that will generate a snapshot of the sandbox in its current state. You take that offline, and you have the sandbox offline. Now, I run the service online, but anything can happen. You can be in the middle of the game, and something can screw up.
And there's that viewer, right? That's that.
Yeah, that's Hexroll Backpack. The other thing is that every guest sandbox, if you can see that yellow thing on the right side, is ephemeral. During the beta, I give you a month to basically work out the sandbox. And after a month, I don't guarantee storing that because storage is expensive. And I can't really store that for more than that. But my Patreons do get to have theirs not expiring. So that's the only difference.
Gotcha. So how are we going to break a new one? How do we do the unlock this?
Oh, so here's a cool something. You can do that, but wait with that. This is actually a nice way to do this. So say for example your players sail away from the land, and they want to explore the ocean. So first thing about the ocean is that I don't pre-generate any ocean hex. You have to re-roll that hex if they sail into the hex. But if they sail far enough, you can generate a realm where they get to on the spot. You don't have to have that realm, and that happened to me twice in my campaign where I basically generated a new realm because I decided, okay, enough sailing. Like I want my players to see something, and just spawned another land.
I'm just going to take these defaults and see what we get. Island of Uranor, not Numenor, Uranor. All right, here we got a bunch of mountains on this place, so kind of a rocky. Actually, don't need to lock this up. This is the decorated hut of Reingard of Erebor. Reingard is living in solitude. He has a hoarse voice, cold, dark eyes, and a peg leg, but he's ecstatic about his peg leg. 3 coppers, an empty vial, and a love note. Wow. And he feels, oh yeah, you got a little typo there. I think I mentioned this in the last one.
Oh yeah, I should fix that. Yeah.
Feeling someone, I mean, it's hard to find them. It's always someone like me that will spot them right away when your eyes are so used to reading it that you just glaze right over it. Dave says it looks like a volcanic island. Oh yeah, I was going to ask about that. Do you, is it totally random, or do you try to do any kind of Earth-like geological blah 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 when you're generating land masses?
Very minimal attempt. There is a very minimal attempt to do something that's geographically logic. The reason for that is because it will usually mess up the algorithm to generate something, the way that the generator works, by the way, it's first generating the content. So the first thing that happens, I'm generating like a bunch of regions of the biomes you've selected, and then I try to draw the map. Now, say for example, we randomly generated a desert, and actually, desert may not be the perfect example, but say like a rainforest and a tundra. How do I make that work, right? If I only have those 2 biomes, it's gonna collide. So I will have a failed generation of a map. So there is a small attempt to make that happen, but not mandatory, basically.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I always feel like that kind of Earth realism is completely overrated. I've never sat there in a game and had it bother me if things didn't work quite the way Earth does, as long as it meets the eye test. And even then, if I saw, a tundra next to a desert, I would think like, oh, there's something magical going on here. Like even then, it wouldn't be like, well, we got to leave this game. It doesn't match up with the Earth. I'd be like, oh, interesting. This is obviously something weird going on that we must investigate. So, but it is something that some people get really hung up on, or some folks more than others, I suppose. A torn canvas bag was left on the ground near the entrance to this area. Oh, Dave says that's why I asked about waveform collapse earlier, because it covers the biomes like that specifically. Aha. There was a method to your madness, Dave. I got you. Oh, you got a potion of levitation. Nice. see where else interesting. I'm not sure. I just love that I can just keep zooming out and get back. What do we got here? Gold Seekers. This does seem like a real. I mean, I guess just by randomly, it does feel like, as Dave said, oh, this is like a volcanic island. That's totally what it looks like. Where do we put?
Then I would go in and edit one of the one of the middle hexes and add a volcano there. That's an opportunity. So unlock it from the page. Go lock it again. Go to the hex and then unlock it from there. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, and then you can edit that. Oh, actually, no. Press the feather.
And what do I do with the feather? So if I want to make this a volcano.
Oh, so that won't change the art because I actually don't have the art for volcano. I should probably add the art for volcano, but just add the replace the text. And that's the thing about editing. Like I guess that's the last resort. Like if you really have a vision of something and you want that in, just go in and edit that. It's fine. And you can always go back to the generated one if you feel like that's not working well. Like it's always the possibility just to remove all the text and save it again, and it will recover the generated version, so it's not lost.
Oh, that's cool. There you go.
By the way, the same.
Go ahead.
The same menu from the map you can be used to add dungeons and settlements. So you don't have enough settlements here, and you want another village somewhere. So you can zoom back to the map, unlock the map. Let's go say for one of the coastlines and press the dice. And from here you can roll like a settlement or a dungeon. So you can roll like a village there, for example. And that will create a village. Then you can lock the map and you have a village.
Oh, there we go. Or it looks like we might just have the set.
Oh, sorry, you generated an inn. That's fine, yeah.
Hey, it's I don't know how many people are going to go to some rocky outcropping on a volcanic island to go to the inn, but it's there for you. Zalaria Friedewald. She has a soft voice, tired brown eyes, and another peg leg. Got a lot of peg leg people running around, but she's mellow.
That's what happens when you
legs.
Yeah, that's a good question. What's going on?
What is going on with the legs? Who is stealing people's legs? Do you ever watch? I don't know if you ever Monty Python and the. It was the Life, I think, where they're on the
Holy Grail.
There's the Holy Grail, but there's the other movie, The Meaning of Life, that was really almost more like sketches. But one of them is there
the mosquito one.
The mosquito one where they get well, the one where they're like kind of like the British in Africa in like the 1890s, and somebody lost their leg in the middle of the night.
Yeah, they slept with a mosquito net, and a tiger came in and bite the leg off. Yeah,
and a tiger in Africa. Yeah, there's something's in here running away with people's legs. Oh, that's good. Let's do another. So anything else? So I'm going to generate another thing here. Is if there's any feature, anything you want to.
Well, there's a whole new the whole VTT thing going on here. That's an opportunity. Since I have the hexes and I have the dungeon areas, I can basically have a built-in fog of war. So that's something that is, if you play VTT, that takes time to build, right? Like to create the fog of war areas in dungeons and caves. So in here, it's like you get that for built in basically as part of the map.
Oh, I like this. Aranor and Arazar, and they have the sea in between them. I can see some fighting. There's some fighting going on between these two. Okay, so how do we go into VTT mode? Let's try that. How do we get there?
Well, first go to the toggle above the lock symbol, and then you choose the rightmost share icon, which is the VTT, basically starts the VTT session. So you share that link with your players, and they get the player version of the map, which is going to be basically empty. They won't see a thing. So I don't know if you can do this online, like live here, but basically you can open another window if you want, or if you can do that. If not, that's fine. Like just close that window. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm just reading through. Okay, so let's see. To reveal or conceal hexes, hold the space bar and click on any hex. Okay. To indicate hexes to your players, hold on the F key and click on any hex you wish to indicate. To add tokens, hold the T. Okay, remove F. So okay, space. So I guess the interesting thing is, how do I is there a way to know in this interface whether I've shared a hex or not? So
yeah, press the spacebar and keep it pressed. Right. So any hex that you reveal will be revealed to the players. And there's 2 levels basically. The first level is the terrain, and the second level is the feature. So, and it's just the icon basically. So if you
I like that.
Because they get into the hex, they don't necessarily know what's inside. If they explore enough and they find what's inside, like they find one of the entrances to the tomb in this case, you reveal the entrance as a second phase.
That's really slick. I really like that. So right, they just arrive in the hex. They just see the hex, and then if they do some exploration or some of their action or find a trail or something, then all of a sudden you can go. Boop.
Yep, exactly. And then the same goes for inside the dungeon. So now when you've revealed the hex, you can zoom in, and they will zoom in as well. They have the entire functionality basically in terms of zooming in and out. And then you can basically reveal areas. So you go to one of the entrances, say number 4 or whatever, wherever there's an entrance there. And then you can start revealing things for them. Now, they will need a light source. This is only revealing this logically. They will not see a thing if they don't have a light source. So to add a light source, you have to add a token. So go to that area and instead of pressing space, press T. And click that area. And there you get the tokens that are built into Hexroll. And you have some tokens that have a light source. They have this torch or lantern. This one is like just light source without anything. But yeah, and then you have the other tokens. They have you have a version with a light source or without a light source, and then you have monsters as well that you can place in.
Oh, that's really cool.
And players can control player tokens, and you can control.
Is this a player token or is this a GM?
That's a GM token. So that is something that you can.
How do I remove this one if I want to remove?
You press K and you click that token.
Aha. So let's see if I click in here. So which one would be a player token of a torch?
So anything with a torch on a red torch on it. So it will be at the first, top of the thingy. Yeah,
I see here. Okay, I got you. All right, so they can then move that around. But if they decide to go funny and go like, I'm going to move it over here, they still won't see anything unless
they won't see anything unless you reveal that area to them. They will be in blackness.
Brilliant. That's really nice, and it gets around a lot of issues. I know a lot of things with VTTs. People love I mean, granted, it's not like volumetric dynamic lighting, but it does the job, and it doesn't take any more work on your part. You just get to do it as you're going along. And I like that just holding down that spacebar makes it super easy to be able to see exactly what you've noted the players, and I can take it away if I'm an evil.
I play with this with my kids. We basically take a monitor and we place it on the table, and we play with that. And now we play without. We used to play before I added the tokens. We used to play with miniatures with that map on a screen. And in the past few sessions since I got the miniature the tokens in Hexroll, we just play with the tokens because I can instantiate as many as I want, and I like it. It's easier for me.
Awesome. So I guess before I let you go here, because I know it's it's late, and so thanks for coming on. Obviously, I think I mentioned at the top of the screen, you're in Dublin, Ireland. So you are, was it 10 p.m. or something around?
Yeah, it's 10 p.m.
But what's your schedule with the beta? Like, what are your plans going forward? I mean, obviously, what you can share, anything else coming? Are you just going to be features coming? What's your
There's a bunch of things. Like, I have a backlog full of things, and it's growing every day because getting feedback and everything is super important to add. I'm probably going to add some solo functionality at some point. That is something I've been asked to by my. We have a really amazing community, Patreon community, and I'm trying to listen to what they ask, and so solo is probably one thing that we'll add. I'm looking into other systems, like maybe do something for 5e, maybe other OSR systems. We'll have to see about that. I'm going to probably take a look, as I said, at some more minor editing capabilities, and I have a pretty big roadmap. I want to add a calendar, for example, like have some events and predefined, festivities or things like that happen that are related to cities or rituals or things like that. That is something that's sitting in my mind for a while. Really, I have a long list. The beta will probably run until early next year, and at that point, I will probably say, okay, like hopefully I'll be happy with what I have, but I have more time to add things, which I'm, going to use.
Very cool. I mean, I love that. I just noodling around here for a little bit, and we've got these great 2 land masses of a couple different kingdoms, some interesting dungeons, and yeah, it really cuts down a ton of work. I'd really be interested to see if down the line it'd be great because it's such a wonderful tool. Like I could see different, depending on how you want to do it. Like it would be awesome if somebody reached out to you and was like, "Hey, I've got like a worlds without number kind of thing. Like, hey, I've got this thing. Could you kind of use your engine and kind of plug in worlds without numbers tables or something?" Like it would be really neat to see something like this where you could use kind of different tools. But obviously, that would be something that they would reach out to you. But it's really just it's brilliant, and it runs really smoothly, and it works really great. And I'm really impressed by the results. And I really appreciate you coming on and talking us through everything.
Yeah, thanks a million for having me. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words. This is awesome. Yeah.
How long have you been working on this, by the way? And I know you said you told me, I guess, in the comment of the video that you have a couple of kids, your teenagers that are helping you out with this.
Yeah, 3 teenagers. Well, 2 of them help me. My second son is basically the QA team. He's doing the testing for things. My youngest is doing some of the proofreading.
Awesome.
Well, tries, and yeah, it's a family project. Yeah, and I'm working mostly weekends on this. Like, try to get some hours during the weekend to work on this. Basically started like with Hexroll first edition to actually, I had a bunch of scripts before that, but they were like scattered and in various places. But with Hexroll 1, I really started like, bundling them together to something that can be used by others. I'd say like early 2020 when the lockdown started. And with the second edition, I think I'm working on it for a little over a year now.
Oh, that's great. And how much is if folks want to get involved with the Patreon and what's the Patreon like?
We're pen, dice, and paper. It's €2 to be part of the Patreon a month. It basically funds for the server storage, everything that we need to run the thing. So yeah, it's awesome. We have amazing people that go way back with me from the first days of Hexroll 1E and really contribute. Like a lot of things you see, they originated from folks in our community, basically saying, "Hey, that would be cool. That would be cool." So yeah.
No, it's great, and I'm sure at some point, you could probably crowdsource some of the just like fixing some of the misspellings and things that come up. I'm sure folks in your Patreon will probably point out when stuff comes up a little bit off that you could use fixing. So
yeah, absolutely.
Nice to kind of crowdsource all that stuff because it's a pain. It's a pain when you're trying to generate a lot of content. Like these things are just going to leak out.
Yeah, it's very hard to test everything here because it's all random. You can really get weird things. So yeah, absolutely. Like and I really encourage if anyone uses this, please, there's a feedback button on the right side of the screen. Send me feedback. I take everything. I list everything. I prioritize everything. I respond to everything. Like, please let me know of things. If you find a bug, if you find something that doesn't read well, I don't promise I can get to everything, but I definitely take it in.
Absolutely. And like you were saying, like, use it as a prompt. You can rewrite it. You can re-roll it. You got a lot of options for what to do with a particular piece of content that's generated. But it's just the way it links everything together and does all that kind of work for you, I think is great. And that it can even do that kind of after the initial generation. It's really awesome. All right, folks, any last comments before I let Ithai go so you can enjoy his Friday evening? Or what are you gonna do? Are you because I know you mentioned that usually this is like your work times. Are you gonna be working on it tonight after we get off, or are you gonna relax a bit?
I think tonight I'll call it a day, but over the weekend
Happy Hanukkah, by the way. I didn't even think about it, but
thank you. Absolutely, thank you. Yeah. I'll be basically working this way. I work weekends mostly. Like I try to dedicate at least half a day, 8 hours every weekend, and we have our weekly game on Saturdays. So this is our chance to basically try things. And Hexroll is basically, that's what we play. So
awesome. Yeah, well, this is great. Well, thanks everybody for hanging in. Dew said that they love that it's open source and they're glad to learn about it. And Dave says it looks like a lot of fun. It does. I will definitely delve into this more. And yeah, let me know when new stuff comes up. I'm happy to help kind of test it or check it out or do whatever. But yeah, just thanks again for hanging out with me and walking me through it. This was awesome. Hopefully, this video, other than like the last one, will give folks a better idea of how things work and how to do things than my fumbling around. But I even have to say that even fumbling around, we were able to kind of figure everything out. So it's definitely there, and yeah, it's just I imagine it's going to get better with time. So folks, check it out, and if you're feeling generous, I mean, €2 to get extra space to save stuff and just support the effort, seems like a no-brainer to me. But Ithai, thanks so much. Any last things? You have any other sites or anything else you want to call out before I?
No, just thank you for having me. That was awesome.
Oh, thanks for
awesome.
joining in. All right, guys. Yeah. Well, everyone have a great rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this. If you hang out for a minute, Ithai, it'll after the stream ends, it'll go through another little video thing, and then we can chat for a sec if you got the time. All right, guys. Game on, and I'll talk to you later. Bye now.